The 2025 NFL Draft is officially over, and the Cincinnati Bengals got away with a generational heist. Welcome back to the Bengals Digest channel. I'm Carson Lokey. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Here it is. The NFL Draft is over, and I think the Bengals, they didn't go the route I would have gone, but the more and more I'm looking at these names, I'm falling in love with them more and more. Obviously, they're Cincinnati Bengals, so I'm going to love them anyways, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on the 2020 draft class from the Cincinnati Bengals because of, one, their leadership and their qualities. And I think some of them were a steal, especially later on in the draft. But it doesn't mean I would have done exactly what they did. And I'm going to explain why I like the draft they did and then what I would have done in my draft. But let's jump right into it. So this is the Cincinnati Bengals draft class of 2025. Started off round one, edge rusher from Texas A&M, Shamar, Stewart. Then round two, linebacker from South Carolina, Demetrius Jr. Round three, one offensive line guard from Georgia, Dylan Fairchild. Then got a linebacker again in the fourth round, Barrett Carter from Clemson. Tackle from Miami, Jaylen Rivers. And then finish it off in round three, running back from Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, Taj Brooks. Absolutely love these picks more and more. Obviously, you guys heard my opinions right after the facts. I wasn't too happy with all of them at the beginning, but now that we've gone later, and I've had time to sleep on it and think about each of the picks, I'm falling more in love with them every single hour. First, edge rusher Shamar Stewart. I'm going to go through the first three pretty quickly because I already did videos talking about them. But just to break down each of the players, Shamar Stewart, definitely the biggest reach from the Cincinnati Bengals. He wasn't the craziest sack leader in the 3 seasons, only had 4.5 sacks total. But the raw talent is there, the potential is there. That was definitely a high ceiling pick. It was a gamble. I'm all for it. I trust Al Golden if he feels that he can develop him into an elite pass rusher opposite of Trey Hendrickson, then I'm all for it. In 3 seasons with Texas A&M, 65 total tackles, 30 solo, 12 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, like I said. But last season, he led the team with 39 QB pressures and actually led the team the season before that in QB pressures as well. 6'6", 290 pounds, PFF grade-wise, 79.5. He gets after the quarterback. He disrupts every single play. Every single play, he's in the backfield, and he had a great showcase at the Senior Bowl. It's just trying to close out the deal. That's literally the only thing. The only box he doesn't check is the sacks. Everything else, check mark. All he has to do is figure out how to close. But when you have Trey Hendrickson on the other side, you don't really have to worry about that. If you can make the guys scramble the other way to Trey Hendrickson's going to get the sacks, and that's all I care about. Round number 2, linebacker Demetrius Jr. People considered this a reach as well. Linebackers were kind of going fast in the second round, more and more. So I don't know if he was going to fall to the third round. So I'm not. It's fine to me. 6'2", 245 pounds last season. His first season with the South Carolina Gamecocks. He became a captain within a couple weeks of transferring. And last season had 82 total tackles, 57 solo, 1 pass deflected, 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, PFF grade-wise of 82.8. Why I said this was a steal of a pick in the second round is because of his leadership qualities. He's going to be a great locker room guy. Same with Shamar Stewart. I think that's honestly the kind of the theme throughout this entire draft is drafting guys that are going to be great locker room guys. Round 3, offensive guard Dylan Fairchild from Georgia. PFF-wise, 74.6. Only allowed 1 sack last season and only allowed 1 hit last season. 6'5", 315 pounds. Left offensive guard honestly already has that connection with Amarius Mims, being a former teammate. So I think that's why that's his deal with the connection. And our linebacker, well, I'll talk about that in 2 rounds. Jaylen Rivers also is a former teammate of Matt Lee. Also from Miami offensive center from Miami, who we drafted a few years ago. But I think we're going to teammates with our offensive line. Then 4th round, linebacker again, Barrett Carter from Clemson, 6'1", 230. Last season, 82 total tackles, 42 solo, 7 passes deflected, 3.5 sacks. PFF grade was of 68. So they're a little bit different kind of linebackers. Demetrius is a little bit bigger. He's kind of the punch linebacker. He punches out the ball. Barrett Carter is kind of the guy that gets after the slot receivers and goes after the quarterback. He blitzes a lot. So everyone was kind of surprised we went 2 linebackers, but you also got to think we lost Akeem Davis Gaither. And then we are most likely, because of this draft, definitely getting rid of Jermaine Pratt. Either going to trade him if everybody's interested in him, or we're just going to cut him. There's no reason we're drafting 2 linebackers who should start day 1 if we're keeping Jermaine Pratt. So I think most likely Jermaine Pratt is gone, and I think realistically it's going to be Demetrius Knight Jr., Logan Wilson, and Barrett Carter as our starting linebackers next season. Then round 5, offensive tackle from Miami, Jaylen Rivers. PFF grade-wise, 70.7 sacks, 1 sack allowed last season, and 1 hit allowed last season. 6'5", 325 pounds. I love the lineman. All my mock drafts, I only just got 1, but if they're focusing on projecting Joe Burrow, then I am all for it. We haven't been projecting Joe Burrow the last 5 seasons he's been here. Now the fact that we're starting to do it, I'm all for it. I love it, even though some people might have disagreed. I do not. Then finally, I think this is probably one of the craziest steals of the draft. Running back from Texas Tech, Tajay Brooks, 286 carries for 1,505 yards, averaged 5.3 yards per carry, 17 touchdowns, 5'10", 230 pounds. So he's smaller, like Chase Brown, but he's a power back. Go watch his highlights. Dude is kind of like Cam Scatterby, whereas he's a pinball. Same thing with Brooks. Brothers bounce off of him. He's a power back. He's going to get those 3 to 4 yards in a cloud of dust, but he can also break away. He doesn't have the speed as Chase Brown. That's why we kind of have now a Sonic and Knuckles running back duo with 1 and 2. Tajay Brooks is going to be that 3rd, 4th down back and the goal line back to push those 3 to 4 yards, and I love that pick. Also, he was a captain for the offense. So I think the main theme with the draft for the Bengals this year was going after locker room guys who led their teams as a captain in college, because I don't think they want to deal with any character issues, especially from last season. What happened with Jermaine Burton, we still don't know what's going on with Jermaine Burton, if he's going to be there or not. So I think this year they went heavily on locker room guys that also fit the needs. And Al Golden especially, I think his game plan is very, very, very obvious. They like their secondary room. I think Al Golden likes the secondary room. If they didn't, they would have drafted somebody. They like their secondary room. They think the main reason why the secondary was struggling is because our defensive line and our linebackers weren't giving enough pressure onto the quarterback. When you put more pressure on the quarterback, the secondary improves because the QB doesn't have enough time to make good reads. They kind of have to throw the ball under pressure more, which obviously leads to more interceptions and better overall gameplay by the secondary. So that's what Al Golden's going after, and because especially his scheme is turnovers. If he gets more pressures to the quarterback, there's more likely the quarterback is going to either have to throw under pressure, try to scramble under pressure, and that leads to more mistakes by the quarterback, which would obviously lead to turnovers or 3 and outs, all that good stuff, which Al Golden is known for. Now, as I said before, this isn't exactly how I would have done it. My main thing I would have done if I was the Bengals, if I was the GM and I was in that draft room, I would have changed the first 3 picks. The last 3 picks, I would have stayed the same. But the first 3, I would have switched around. This is what I would have done. You might notice right away I don't have an edge rusher. I would have try to get an edge rusher. But this is what I would have done with who was available when we were drafting. First round, I would have definitely gone linebacker Jahad Campbell. If you're going to get Demetrius Knight in the second round, I would have much rather just have Jahad Campbell in the first round. Very similar type of players, but you can also put Jahad Campbell on the line as an edge rusher as well. He was committed to Alabama as an edge rusher, so you could mix him in and out of the defensive line and the linebacker core. Then I would have gone Tate Ratledge second round because he was still available. And then luckily, Xavier Watts was available third round when the Cincinnati Bengals were picking. There's no way I am passing up on that talent, especially as Al Golden is the former defense coordinator of Xavier Watts. This is what I would have done. This is what my draft would have been. considering the players who were available, then I would have done the same with their same concept as getting 2 linebackers. I'm not going away from their game plan in the draft. It's just I would have drafted it a little bit different. I would have liked a safety to go along with Geno Stone and Jordan Battle. I would have liked another guy. And then with this, what I would have done, you guys know my favorite player this entire draft who I thought was going to go in the 4th round, and I thought he was going to be stealing the 4th round, was cornerback Kobe Bryant from Kansas. He went undrafted. As soon as the draft ended, if I was the Bengals and saw he went undrafted, I would have been calling him immediately. Like, immediately to bring him onto my team. He, unfortunately, signed with the Falcons, so we didn't get him. But the Bengals actually went kind of crazy in the undrafted free agents, including center from Ohio State, Seth McLaughlin, which is an absolute steal. He was the best overall player still available, or not still available, was once the draft ended, he was the number 1 player available, and he is now on the Cincinnati Bengals. We went after some defensive tackles like Howard Cross from Notre Dame, Eric Gregory from Arkansas. Then we went after a lot of guys. We actually did really well with the undrafted free agents. But this is what I would have done, but that's not what we have. Obviously, this is your 2025 Bengals draft class. I'm all for it. I'm excited to see them play. Some of their numbers had already been announced, but once again, just to go over it, just so you guys can learn their names and what they are. Edge rusher, 1st round from Texas A&M, Shamar Stewart. 2nd round linebacker out of South Carolina, Demetrius Knight Jr. 3rd round offensive guard from Georgia, Dylan Fairchild, who is actually a state championship wrestler. He is undefeated in wrestling, which is also why I think they went after him instead of Tate Ratledge, is because Scott Peters, who is trained in in martial arts, whatever. I don't remember which one of them. I think that's why they went after Fairchild, because of our new offensive line coach, Scott Peters, has wrestling background, and he loves to combine the wrestling and offensive line together. So I think that's why they went after Fairchild, because he already has that kind of mindset. Then 4th round linebacker from Clemson, Barrett Carter. Dabo Swinney was asked about Carter, and he said he is one of the all-time greats at Clemson. So we got a good player there. 5th round, offensive tackle from Miami, Jaylen Rivers. And then rounding it off, 6th round, last and final pick, running back from Texas Tech, Tajay Brooks. So that is your 2020 draft class. For the Cincinnati Bengals, I graded about a B+. That's where I grade around it. It's obviously not the most flashiest names. It wasn't the big names that we were all looking for. Like, everybody was wanting either Tate Ratledge or Xavier Watts second day or day 2. But I love this draft class. It's not the flashiest, but it's a lot of locker room guys. It's a lot of leadership. And I think they're going to improve the Cincinnati Bengals instantly as all day 1 starters. And that includes Tajay Brooks as running back 2. That's technically not a starter, but he'll get a lot of playing time. So thank you so much for watching the video. Comment down below how you felt about the draft class. Let me know if you liked my draft class better than what the Bengals did and what you would have done differently to both. But thank you so much for watching this video. We're so close to 1,200 subscribers. We're actually at 1,199. So 1 more subscribers will reach 12,000. Thank you so much for all the love you show on the channel. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it. We're on the road to 1,500, and I know we can get there. Share this video with your Bengals friends, because Bengal football is together. Bengal football is better together. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for watching. For the Bengals Digest channel, I'm Carson Lokey. Have an amazing one, and God bless.